It wasn't easy being the principal of UA wasn't easy, especially around the time of the sports festival. Just the amount of paperwork necessary for making sure the arena was up to par would drive a normal person insane. Hence why Niza was still in his office so late at night working away with his pen. Oh, the burdens of being in charge. Niza sighed. But, this is always worth it. The sports festival never fails to entertain. Watching my students head in with high hopes, only to get crushed by the unforgiving hand of reality, always lifts my spirits. Although it appears I'll have to look over my security, wouldn't you say, Giza? Behind Nizu was a man, or rather a large humanoid rat, wearing a big dark gray hooded robe. The man was slightly taller than average and was covered in dark brown fur, with some white spots around his face, as well as a long thin white beard at the bottom of his rat face. His arms and legs were the only not hairy parts of him, rather they were just exposed gray skin, although his arms were covered in bandages, while his feet were bare. The man, Giza, chuckled. I would say so. It was disappointingly how easy to sneak past your defenses. I expected more from you, old friend. Well, unfortunately my budget can only allow so much without the shareholders getting antsy. Niza sighed. If I had things my way, then UA would be a fortress in the sky with an electrified force field surrounding it. Perhaps that might be a bit much. Giza mused, stroking his beard, as he moved to the front of Niza's desk. Putting that aside, I'm ashamed to say I need your assistance. About time, Niza said with a tiny hint of smugness. I told you the foot were not foes to be taken lightly. Giza shook his head. Things have changed. They had another success. For the first time in a long, long time, Niza's smile fell, and all cheer left his tone. Elaborate. Giza then took out a photo from his screen and put it down on Niza's desk. The photo was of 4 baby humanoid turtles. This isn't good. I thought we'd have more time. Niza started to sweat. Do not worry too much, my old friend, Giza assured him. They still have no idea how this success was achieved, much like with us. And I've already taken away the children and burned their research. They're not finding out the secrets of the ooze anytime soon. Good. Niza breathed a sigh of relief. We still have time. Where are the children? I am currently hiding them deep within the sewers, Giza answered. However, I don't know how long that place will be safe. That's why I came to you. I need somewhere safe. Somewhere fortified where even the foot wouldn't be able to touch them. I think I know a place, Niza said. Izuka needed to hire more bodyguards. Sure, he'd increased the security of the Foundation quite a bit, but that wouldn't help when they went outside. Outside, not only did the kids not have their security system to hide behind, but they couldn't even use their quirks. Meaning their bodyguards were their only line of defense. And right now they only had 2. Which meant one could go with them to keep the kids with them safe, and the other would have to stay here and keep the kids here safe. And Izuku didn't like the idea of only having one bodyguard guard that many children. Which is how Izuku ended up in a DOC office, doing interviews, with Sai by his side. He'd been through 5 people already, and none of them seemed right. Their backgrounds were too clean, suspiciously so. They all seemed too perfect and acted too polite. He needed someone unlikely, someone obviously imperfect. Sir, the next person is here, Sai said, handing him that person's file. Alright, let them in. Izuku sighed, as he read over that person's file. With that, the next person came in. He was a very fit man, with slicked back gray hair, going into a thin ponytail, going down his back. He wore a plain black sleeveless shirt, that showed off his muscly arms, and a regular old pair of jeans. Hello there, Mr. Midoriya. The man cheerily introduced himself. It's a pleasure to meet you. Same, Izuku said as politely as he could while only paying half attention due to him reading the file. So your name is Tokoshi Totoyai. Age 85, correct? That's right. Here and ready to work. Tokoshi said stiffly, obviously not used to acting so overly polite. And your quirk is called, Power Comes with Age, Izuku said as he read the file. It makes you stronger as you get older. You must be pretty strong at this point. You got that right, sir. Tokoshi said as he flexed his muscles. I could flip a truck if you needed me to, sir. Well, at least he's strong. Izuku noted, as he continued looking over the file, until he found something interesting, and his eyes widened. It says here that you were arrested twice. One for participating in an underground fighting ring, and the other for vigilantism. Tokoshi winced. Yeah, that, did happen. You see, I've always felt the need to fight against evil, but I was pretty weak when I was younger, so I couldn't really become a hero, and by the time I started to get strong it was too late, so decided to train by doing those underground fights, got arrested, was released, became a vigilante, got caught, and well, you can guess the rest, but on the bright side I do have combat experience. I see. Izuku put down the folder and started paying more attention to the man. And why do you want to work for the Midoriya Foundation? You said earlier that you wanted to fight against evil, is that your reason? It's one of them. The man rubbed the back of his head nervously. To be honest with you, sir, I have 3 reasons. What I just mentioned was one of them, but the main reason is because my grandson has gotten sick, and his treatment is rather expensive. So as his grandpa, I need to do what I can to make sure he stays alive. And given my record, finding a job can be pretty hard. I see, Izuku repeated. So far everything about this man made him want to hire him. But he had to be careful still. And what was the last reason? Because I've always wanted to be a combat butler. The man admitted sheepishly. They'd just always been so cool. And I'd look great in one of those suits. Sir. Well, Izuku certainly wasn't expecting that answer, even Sai raised an eyebrow at that. Interesting, Izuku remarked. Well, he definitely was more appealing than all the other candidates. But there was still one more thing. Well, that's all well and good, and I have to say, despite your record, I guess because of it I am interested in hiring you. Not only that, I'm fully willing to pay for your grandson's treatment. The man's face lit up like a Christmas tree. That's dash. On one condition, Izuku added sternly. I've been very paranoid about potential spies or assassins trying to get close to me and the kids, by becoming employees. To get around this issue, I've been having any and all potential employees take a mental probe. If you're not willing to do this, then I'm not sure I can hire you. I'll do it. Tokoshi quickly volunteered. I'll be more than glad to do that for you, sir. I have nothing to hide, well, nothing important anyway. Izuku smiled. Good. Well then, you're hired. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX completed. By the end, Izuku was driving back with a dismayed look on his face. Sai, what do you think of most of those candidates? Half of them could be spies, the other half not so sure. Sai shook her head. Either way, I'd say that the only safe one was that Totoyai man. Izuku sighed. I need more than 3 bodyguards. Ugh, if only I could find bodyguards like I could find children. Brrrr. Izuku released another sigh, as he pulled out his phone. This better not be, oh, it's Nizu. Wonder what he wants. He swiftly answered, and held the phone to his ear. Nizu, did you need dash? I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Midoriya, but I have a matter of the utmost importance to speak of with you, Nizu told him urgently. I apologize for my rudeness, but I'm already headed towards your facility with a guest, please allow us in. I assure you my guests will do you no harm. Alright, Izuku answered. I'm not home right now but I'll be there soon. We'll meet in my office. Understood, thank you Mr. Midoriya, Nizu said, before hanging up. What was that about, sir? Sai asked. I have no idea, Izuku answered with a scowl on his face. But we're going to find out. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX When he entered, he found Chol seated on one of his couches, while Nizu and Giza sat on the opposite couch. Giza carrying the 4 humanoid baby turtles in his arm. "Hello, Mr. Midoriya," Nizu greeted, sounding much calmer than before. "Mr. Midoriya, thank you for allowing us your home," Giza said politely, giving a small bow. "My name is Giza, it is an honor to meet you." "Same to you," Izuku said quickly but politely, as he took his seat next to Chol. "Now then, what brings you two here?" "Yes, I suppose it'd be better to explain as soon as possible," Nizu said, before looking at Sai and Chol. "However, I would ask that your attendants leave the room. What I'm about to share with you is a secret, I would rather as few people know as possible." Izuku thought about it for a moment, before looking over at Chol and Sai. "Could you two please give us some privacy?" Sai bowed, and Chol got up. "Yes, sir." And with that, the two swiftly exited the room, leaving Izuku alone with his guests. Now that they were gone, Izuku's attention was completely on the 6 in front of him. "Nizu, what's this about? I've never heard you sound so worried before." "Most people haven't," Nizu told him. "But this relates to something that's rather personal to me. My creation. Izuku froze. He knew that this was dire before just from Nizu's tone, but for the situation to call for him to explain his history, something he'd been very secretive about, and had even gone so far as to openly threaten people who'd try to snoop too much. This must be direr than he thought. Allow me to explain. Giza started. A long time ago, the Yakuza was a powerful, rich, and seemingly invincible criminal organization that sane man would dare oppose. That was until quirks came into existence. With a quirk, one man could take on 100, unarmed even, and there was little that the Yakuza could do in the face of swarms of superpowered vigilantes. Most tried to stubbornly fight against them, using all their power, influence, and wealth, to try and survive, but to no avail. And so the Yakuza was shattered into many splinter groups, one of which would go on to be group dealt with. Most of these groups would be dismantled in time, however, there was one group that was different from the rest. This group saw the fall of the Yakuza coming, and rather than attempting to fight back, they took their wealth, and vanished. They would later go on to call themselves, the Foot. Nizu continued. This group knew the value of quirks and knew that the only way to regain their full power was to master quirks. To find a way to control quirks and those who wield them, and so they poured much of their wealth into finding out the secrets of quirks, and how to bestow them onto their minions, and themselves. They searched for years, doing tests on animals and humans alike, Giza said. Until eventually, they created a liquid known as mutagen or the ooze. This liquid would cause a mutation in whoever it came into contact with, similar to giving them a quirk. Although most did not survive the process and would either die or lose their minds soon after touching it. But rarely, very rarely, there would be someone who would survive the process and gain new quirks. Me and Nizu are such examples. We were animals, exposed to mutagen, and thus we gained a beyond human level intelligence, Nizu explained. As such, we were kept and studied. We lived in small cages, and every day we would go through some sort of agonizing experiment. From having our blood extracted from our bodies to being opened up and stitched back together. Our time there was unpleasant to say the least. Fortunately, I eventually managed to come up with a plan, and with the help of the others, we managed not only to escape but destroy both the facility and the people who worked there. However, that was only one of many of the Foot's facilities, Giza added. In the end, we knew it would take far more to put an end to the Foot. However, had different thoughts on how best to handle this situation. Giza wished to attack the Foot immediately, while I wanted to amass power and influence, and then attack them, Nizu explained. This was why I became a pro-hero, as well as to make sure other organizations like the Foot would be destroyed. And so we parted ways, Giza said. I attacked various Foot facilities, destroying their research, as well taking care of their men. However, recently I have stumbled upon these four. Another success in their experiments. And thus things became more complicated. So you came to me to ask me to hide you 5 on my property, Izuku said, seeing where the story was going. That is correct, Mr. Midoriya, Nizu confirmed. I apologize for asking you to become a target for yet another criminal organization, but seeing as you're already increasing your security due to the MLA, you are the only person I could trust to keep them safe, and not do anything dubious. I see. Izuku thought this over. Well, protecting children is the entire point of my job, so I'm not going to back down now. Thank you, Mr. Midoriya, we are in your debt. Giza did another short bow to him. Please feel free to ask whatever you may need of me. Giza is second to none in combat skills. I think you'd find him a fantastic combat instructor for the children, Nizu suggested. Or as a bodyguard. That's perfect, I needed another one of those. Izuku breathed a sigh of relief. Well, then, welcome to the Midoriya Foundation.